question.
And you don't know one way or the other whether Mr. Depp will be in Pirates of Caribbean 6. You don't have a crystal ball, is that right?
Objection, speculation.
He's an expert.
Allow it. Go ahead, overruled. Go ahead, you can answer, sir.
Well, as an expert, of course, I don't have a crystal ball, but as an expert, I think Disney will do everything possible to try to put him back in Pirates, but not under this cloud.
Okay. You would agree that there was negative publicity about Mr. Depp before the op-ed, correct?
Yes.
You know that Ms. Heard made her accusations public starting in May of 2016, right?
Yes.
And Hollywood knew about that, right?
Yes.
Okay. And Mr. Depp still had movies after May of 2016, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you would agree that there was negative publicity about Mr. Depp being publicly drunk before the op-ed, correct?
There was, I agree with the proposition that there was negative publicity before the op-ed. The op-ed was something different.
And you agree, in 2014, there was an article in The Guardian that said apparently drunk Johnny Depp cut off at Hollywood Film Award ceremony. Would you agree with that?
Again, I don't remember reading The Guardian, and I don't remember that particular incident, but I'll take you at your word.
And you remember in looking through all the documents that you saw an article that Johnny Depp allegedly showed up drunk to movie premiere, reports say, right? That was in 2017.
I think I've testified that there is certainly Johnny Depp behavior and negativity out there. Yes.
And that a family production studio like Disney wouldn't want to be associated with, correct?
Again, you're talking about a very specific, series of 5 films that earn billions of dollars, and there is a line in Hollywood, as I've said, they'll put up with divas and drugs to make money, but now we've drawn a line in Hollywood at the domestic and sexual abuse.
And in looking through the documents, you saw articles in June of 2018 that said vodka for breakfast, 72-hour drug binges, and spending sprees that beggar belief. You saw that?
Again, I know these articles exist. I know they're not in the Washington Post. I don't know what article you're referring to, who wrote it, what publication it was in, but I know that those articles exist.
And you'd agree that before the op-ed, Mr. Depp had a run of movie flops, wouldn't you agree?
Every actor has, ups and downs. Mr. Depp, his career's been decades long.
You would agree that in January of 2015, there was an article that said Johnny Depp is on his way to becoming the most overpaid actor in Hollywood.
Again, you'd have to show me the article, but I don't doubt that some commentator trying to trade on being a smarty pants wrote that.
And you'd agree that there was another article in 2015 that says, quote, has Johnny Depp become Hollywood's biggest joke?
I don't know. Netflix has a whole festival going now. Netflix is a joke.
And you'd agree that there is an article in Business Insider from 2015 that says Johnny Depp has his 5th box office bomb in a row.
If that's what it said, it said. Are you just going to keep reading this?
This is Mr. Depp's reputation. That's what you're talking about in terms of Hollywood, correct? And in 2016, December of 2016, there's an article that says, quote, Johnny Depp is Hollywood's most overpaid actor for the 2nd year in a row. Did you recall reading that?
I don't know. Was that written by the second underpaid actor?
And you would agree that before the op-ed, there was negative publicity for Mr. Depp about assassinating President Trump. Would you agree?
No, I missed that one.
You didn't see an article in the New York Times that said Johnny Depp flirts with idea of Trump assassination, then apologizes?
Again, Johnny Depp talks with particularly remember that. I have a lot of stuff in front of me.
Disney wouldn't want to be involved with somebody who's calling for the assassination of the president, would it?
I'm sure after those articles, Johnny Depp was involved in major studio projects.
Do you know one way or the other whether Mr. Depp was involved in major studio projects after June 23rd, 2017?
I think, again, I haven't quoted his IMDb page to memory, but he was in an animated film called Sherlock Gnomes. I think it was released, Paramount is one of the producers. I think it was released in 2017.
Would you agree that before the op-ed there was negative publicity for Mr. Depp about punching a crew member on a film set?
I heard about that.
Okay. So that's people who work in Hollywood that Mr. Depp had an accusation of assault, correct?
I heard about it, yes.
And would you agree that there were stories about Mr. Depp drinking heavily on the set of Pirates 5?
There were lots of stories that came out, and I'm sure that was one of them.
And those stories came out in 2016 and 2017, before the op-ed, right?
Again, you'd have to show me a timeline, but I'll take your word that there were articles written in various rags or trade public.
Is the New York Times a rag? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying the New York Times is a rag. What I'm saying is, at the height of the Me Too movement, we have this op-ed directed at Hollywood, and in the Hollywood I know, the rest of the stuff is background noise.
Now, and Pirates 5 did not make as much money in the box office as the prior Pirates movies did. Isn't that true?
That's true. It only made about $800 million.
It made less, though, than the first four, correct?
Yeah, and any company would want to have a box office hit that made $800 million.
Now, can you put up Defendant's Exhibit 99, please? And if you could blow it up. Now, you said the Me Too movement started in 2017. Is that what you're saying?
It actually started long before that, but it picked up steam to what we now call the Me Too movement in 2017.
Okay, and do you recognize this article from Dan Wooten that says, how can J.K. Rowling be genuinely happy casting wife-beater Johnny Depp in the new Fantastic Beasts film?
Yes, this article is in the UK Sun, which came to prominence by publishing topless women on page 3.
And the article came out on April 27th, 2018, correct?
I haven't skimmed through this, but I'll take your word for it.
And I think what you're trying to say was that the Sun was a rag, so no one would pay any attention to it. Is that what you're trying to say?
I'm saying the Sun is the Sun, and it's in the UK. And what this article is repeating stuff from 2016, repeating all the stuff that you might say should be all past history after the divorce. It's one Wooten's opinion in a newspaper that's claimed to fame as page 3 women topless, and yeah.
And Mr. Depp sued the Sun over this, right?
What's that?
Mr. Depp sued the Sun in the UK about this article, right?
As far as I know, he wanted to clear his name. That's right.
And Mr. Depp, that lawsuit occurred in 2020, correct? It was tried in 2020.
I believe so, yeah.
And there were accusations of abuse that came out based on that lawsuit, correct?
As far as I know, the accusations were all old news and predated much. Yeah, I mean, this is a 2018 article, and in 2020, they probably were rehashing it.
And the old news that was coming out in 2018, that would also affect Mr. Depp's reputation, correct?
Again, I've tried to draw a line, the line that Hollywood draws between the Me Too movement and starting in 2017, and the gossip and the claims back and forth. I mean, there was also press about Amber Heard being an abuser in those years. There was also the other side of the coin.
But the op-ed that didn't mention Mr. Depp at all and didn't mention any accusations that what happened to her, that's what caused Mr. Depp all his reputational harm? That's what you're saying?
Well, I don't agree that this article was not about
Did
Mr.
it mention
Depp.
Mr. Depp? That's what I asked you.
Well, does she have another husband who abused her
But
in
did it talk
2016?
about it? Did it talk at all about Mr. Depp's abuse?
Objection, Your Honor. He's tried to answer the first question, which was not exactly what the second question was that he re-asked. He had asked that he be permitted to finish.
Ask your question. We'll go from there.
The op-ed article didn't mention any specific abuse by Mr. Depp towards Amber Heard, correct?
The only name is this is Amber Heard telling her story that started in 2016 when she was domestically abused and ignored.
Now, there were headlines about the UK trial, correct?
I'm sure there were, yes.
Like, let's burn Amber text allegedly sent by Johnny Depp about X read in court.
I didn't hear you.
Let's burn Amber text allegedly sent by Johnny Depp about X read in court.
Yeah.
And there's a headline from July 19th, 2020 that said, quote, Hollywood nervously awaits fallout from explosive Johnny Depp trial. So Hollywood was following the case, correct?
Yeah. When was that headline?
In 2020.
2020. Yeah, look, Johnny Depp is a decades-long fixture in Hollywood, and people were following something across the pond. You know, we thought we kind of got rid of the UK in 1776, but they were still following it, absolutely.
I mean, Mr. Depp thought of enough about this article to have a 3-week trial in the UK, correct?
Objection. Calls for speculation about what Mr. Depp thought.
I'll sustain the objection. Next question.
There was a 3-week trial in the UK based on this article by Dan Wooten, correct?
I think I've said Mr. Depp finally had enough, and he sued to clear his name.
Okay, could I approach, Your Honor?
All right. You want to?